Right? Look at any actor. Actors are primarily famous because they're able to convey emotion on stage. They're able to make us feel something because they're feeling it so strongly in their body. A great actor, I've worked with a few of them because this is basically the exact same thing. They're not thinking, okay, well, I'm going to do my sexy act. What they actually do is they turn up that feeling in their body. And then the little things that they do, a little lip raise, a little eye twinkle, it's all things that naturally come from that feeling. And once again, it looks different for every single person. So don't think about it. Don't try to. You'll only be shooting yourself in the foot.
So if I understand you correctly, it's dependent upon your expression and urge of sexuality as well as the woman's and the uniqueness between the two.
Of course. Yes.
You talk about coming together and wanting to touch each other. Do you ever break rapport, break the tension, and come back to make it stronger, or do you just...
You know, it's once again two things. I say you can't be all the way on her the entire time. There has to be that polarity happening. I call it physical polarity. Just for that reason, you need both sides. But completely breaking it, it's going to depend on her. It's going to depend on the reading. If once again I see that maybe she shifts just a little bit in an uncomfortable way, I'm going to back up. I'm going to be reading her. But if she's, once again, saying, God, I want you, if her expression is saying, I want you on my body so bad right now, no. I'm going to keep moving things forward. And once again, it's thinking about it technically. If you're thinking, okay, well, I'm going to break rapport right now in order to create more sexual tension, all of a sudden, you're jumping in your head, you're killing the vibe, you're killing the mood, you're killing the energy, and she's going to be less turned on by you. So whatever the feeling is dictating in that moment, that's what I'm going to go for. But to have some kind of preconceived plan of I should do this or I should do that, you're only hurting yourself. Thank you for the question.
So how do you practice something that you can't think about? Because, you know, normally if you're like doing equations or something, when you practice, you got to think about it. But how do you practice something you can't think about?
Practicing not thinking. That's a good question, because on the surface it kind of sounds like a contradiction. Practice meditation at all? Okay. You should. Especially in building these feelings. Meditation, which is a practice known the world over, is all about quieting down your inside voices. Right? I've heard prayer being described as talking to God, meditation being described as listening. Right? It's quieting down, it's unactivating that mental process that we've gotten so used to running our lives. Finding peace, finding stillness, learning to connect with whatever's swirling around in our body. Same thing as practicing listening. Right? Listening isn't actively doing something, it's becoming completely passive in that moment. Learning to develop that passiveness, learning to develop that quiet, that peace, that calm. If you're trying to use a not that great of an example, if you're trying to make a quiet, meditative space, you're not going to be bringing in more stimulation. You're not going to be bringing more things, and you're going to be trying to take it away. You're going to be trying to remove. So it's something that's just cultivated. It's something that the more you focus on bringing that quiet, the more you focus on getting in touch with those feelings, the more you focus on being present with that and expressing that when you're with another human being, the better you get at switching to that mode. So you can't actively think, okay, I'm going to get quiet right now. I'm going to get peaceful. I'm going to harness my Zen. It's not doing anything, which is a practice in and of itself. Does that answer your...
Great talk, Nick. I think it's often overlooked. I really like the being true to your feelings, is what you said earlier, and being present, silent escalation. My question was, in a brief encounter with a woman, so maybe your intention or the time frame is short. You see somebody, you approach, and you have those feelings. It's somebody that you have a chemistry with, and you escalate. You talk about pancakes, whatever, breakfast. Do you think that there's something to add to that besides the escalation? So it's going to be a brief encounter. You're going to get a number or some kind of follow-up. Is there something that you should add or consider adding so that when you see them, so that you can see them again, they want to see you again? They don't walk away just feeling like, oh, wow, that, I'm attracted to that guy, but something else. And on your next encounter, you're going to spend a lot more time with that person. So do you think that, because we're complicated people, just doing an escalation, just flirting, what other sorts of things do you want to add to that?
Awesome question. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you asked this question, because it's going to include some things that I probably should have included in my talk already. So thank you, thank you, thank you. For starters, expressing your sexuality verbally. You're right. I said there's flirting, and you can talk about anything, right? But there is another key component to expressing your sexuality verbally, other than just that feeling. And what you have to do verbally, as you kind of spoke to, is you have to express the fact that I want to see you again. And you have to take the steps in order to logistics to make that happen. Usually just exchanging a phone number. All a phone number is just a way that our society expresses, I want to spend more time with you. I want to get to know you better. I want to see you. So verbally speaking, that is the one specific thing that you have to express, is I want us to be together more. So thank you for mentioning that. Answering your question a little bit more, yes, there absolutely is something that you have to express more than just that sexual connection, that sexual feeling, for a woman to want to see you again in a romantic setting. And what that is essentially everything that I talked about in my last speech on this convention stage. That's why you need both parts, right? If you want to see a woman romantically again, you need to have that feeling, have that connection of, yeah, we're turned on by each other, right? I mean, you can have two people at a dinner party and they're just, everyone else is talking, everyone else is having conversation, but when they look at each other, when they talk, there's just that extra vibe. There's that extra, really? That's cool. They have that extra little connection, that look in their eye. Maybe they're stealing glances back and forth with that electricity while everything else is going on. And then the people at the table that don't understand how this works, they're thinking, man, what did he say? What did he do? He must have said something before dinner that made this happen, when in fact it's just that connection.
Marks.
What's up, man? To getting sexual, right? Because once again, 9 times out of 10, gotten myself to the point where I can kind of close my eyes and bring it up. And keep in mind, like, what you saw up here on the stage is a pale shadow, like when there's a woman that we are really connected and we're really jiving. I mean, it's going to be like this times 10, right? In terms of answering your question, I would say it depends on the person.